Well, we return today to face Yokohama's former manager, who took the job we initially wanted at the start of the off-season. It's a very tight, it's a very close and competitive J1 league. But my word, we've had an eventful end to the transfer window. We've got an awful lot to reflect on, so let's go and see what Sean Holmes has been up to. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 21 of the head coach with me, Daniel. We are back today following the closure of the transfer window and a fair few weeks into the season to face Urawa Reds, who we applied to be the manager of in the off-season, but in the end we were beaten to the post by the Yokohama manager, which created this vacancy for us. So it's another reunion of sorts, but we're on the other end of it this time. If you're looking forward to seeing how we get on, as the J1 League is incredibly closely matched. Our former club Gifu just 4 points behind us, and they're in the bottom half of the table. And of course also seeing what our director of football Sean Holmes has been up to, because there's been a couple of moments that are quite interesting based on the director of football intelligence and dynamics in FM24. So if you're looking forward to seeing all of that, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. We've also sold a starter for £1 million. There's an awful lot going on. So let's go and start with that end to the transfer window, because it was a hectic deadline day. It was a very quiet week or two before it. But on the day itself, we have got 3 players in and 4 players out of Yokohama FC. I've also noted on the staffing side, which we won't dwell on today, he's really trying to get people in from FC Gifu, which is interesting. But let's go through the transfers in order that left the club. Tomoki Kondo has moved on to Fukuoka for £105,000. He was our third choice right wing back, and he wasn't as good as the one that he got on a free earlier in the window. So I can understand that deal, and I didn't really have any problem with it. He then sold our third choice goalkeeper, Tomoki Hayakawa. He was transfer listed when we joined the club, and he was basically 4th choice in the end, because although the other goalkeeper wasn't as good, he was homegrown at the club and was filling the bench. So he moved for £22,500, and I'm sure will be decent for his new club where he's playing in the 2nd tier. The third one was Masaki Ando, who's gone on loan to Namazu. He is a young homegrown player at the club with a good personality, and while he didn't fit our tactical instructions or our formation perfectly, he was a player that was improving, that was developing well, and of course it does give us one less option on the bench, so we've got to be a bit careful with that. We didn't want to lose too many of our homegrown players. But the big news was Daiki Miya, who went right at the end of the window with about 2 or 3 hours to go. And I was very worried we were going to be left short, but it didn't end up being that way after a trolley dash at the end. But Daiki Miya has gone to FC Tokyo, fellow divisional rivals. You'll remember he made that shocking mistake on the opening day of the season. I think he gave away a penalty in the second one as well. He didn't have a great start, but he was still our best defender. 3.5 ability to be moved on. It wasn't ideal for us, but he had 1 year left on his contract. He was turning 30 and he got offered massive money from Tokyo. So I can kind of understand it from all parties. He only actually played for the club for 1 year, so it's not like he was a legend or established or anything. It made sense if I'm being honest, but at the time I was more worried about getting a replacement. In the end we got 2. And it is the first sign of both incompetence but also intelligence from the director of football, because you may be able to notice from that list, we've got the first English link, a player of our nationality and the director of football's nationality, and obviously where his knowledge base is, that has come into the club. But we have also got 2 more foreign players, which means they can't all start every game. So let me take you through them, because it's basically 1 from 2 that can play. Valentin Perales is the first one. He was a free agent deal, again 30 years of age, very similar to the player we sold in truth, but an Argentinian on a much lower wage, and unfortunately, as you can see, despite playing, declining very quickly. So I would imagine of the 2 that eventually Fitzwater will probably be the regular starter, but Perales was fitter when he came in, and as a result has played a few of the early games, and again, is a very decent squad player, so no complaints at all. The second one, correct me if I'm wrong, I think is the first English player we've managed in this save. Jack Fitzwater comes from Swansea for £24,000. He is a 28-year-old centre-half. He is a good defender, 3.5-star ability on a bigger wage and on a longer-term deal as well. He's played a couple of games so far and he's done all right. And eventually I would expect him to work into the team. But at the moment, he's just getting fit. He's starting to improve in training. But again, the worry with him perhaps, poor determination, which has been a hallmark of a lot of these signings, both for this club and at FC Gifu. A good player there though, and the third one was arguably even better because the final deal of the day, with 45 minutes to go, was Keita Suzuki from Osaka, 105,000, a decent wage, and a 28-year-old Japanese player who can play left wing back and centre midfield naturally. 3-star ability, is officially the best left wing back at the club, albeit not the best going forward, but he's also very good in midfield, so he does give us extra options. He's a versatile player, he's got plenty of quality and all-round quality as you can see, so very happy with him. I thought it was a very good signing, and it's left us a competitive side, as the league table has proven, and it's basically worked out how we expected, because I know we're in 5th place and it looks like we're well above expectation. You can see from this screen, that's largely because of our 2 new star strikers. Well done, Director of Football. But look how tight the table is. If you take out the leaders, who are 5 points clear, and if you take out the bottom 6, we have got a really tight division between 2nd and 14th. We're nearly halfway through the season and all of those teams are separated by just 9 points, which tells you just how close it's going to be. And we're coming up against one of those today, which for perspective, they're in the bottom half, and if they beat us, there'll be 3 points between us. So it's definitely not more than an encouraging start yet. We've actually lost the most games of all of the top 9. It's just that we've been turning draws into wins, largely thanks to the goals of the target man. The big shout out though is FC Gifu. They're in 11th place. They're only 4 points behind us. They're 11 clear of the relegation playoff. And they finished the window with a bit of a flourish too. We have a look at them. They were signing players galore, and it was something that we doubted would happen, but they've actually brought in a lot of players. They spent a good amount of money. They're probably not quite as good as our squad, but they've been picking sort of the 2 or 3 best players from the league below, and that's all you can really ask them to do. So a really impressive window from them as well. I will do a quick Hiroki Izumi update just to see if he's got a job. I'm afraid he hasn't, is the answer, but he is now listed as a technical director rather than a director of football. And rather interestingly, since we last looked at him, his attributes are still improving at the age of 62. Not something we'd often see for someone out of work, but based on the players he signed for us, maybe, I don't know. Does that stay dynamic for the players he signed? So say 2 years ago he got me Ainaga at Gifu. If he goes on to be an international 3 years later, will that then improve? I don't know. Is the game that intelligent? Let me know in the comments. But interestingly, he was a director at our opponents today for quite some time. So before we go and get in and face them, the club that we could have been managing today, and the club that is being managed by Yokohama's former manager, let's go and have a look at the schedule, because it's been a really interesting spell. As you saw from the table, we have lost a few games, and generally, by the last one, when we've lost them, we've really lost them. We've gone heavy, the determination has been a problem, and when we've conceded first, we've generally fallen apart. But then, equally, we've won a lot of games heavily as well. The last episode evidenced that perfectly, with the 4-1 defeat to Imabari, followed by a big 4-0 win against Gifu. Following that, we beat Fujieda in a second leg of the League Cup tie. We managed to get ourselves a few good players in there. And to be fair, we were pretty strong. Renanue got an early goal, which put a bit of jeopardy in the tie. But after that, we ran away with it. Kondo got what I think was his last goal for the club, with Vitalucci and an own goal securing our passage through either side. A 5-0 win against Sapporo was brilliant. A first half hat-trick for our target man, as well as Mochizuki and Yaneda. 5-0 up at the break. It was a very happy day. A 3-2 win in the first leg of the League Cup second round, where again we faced third tier opposition. We won it really well, despite having a pretty tricky first half. One of our former players at Gifu, Yota Komi, managed to get a goal against us there, but on this occasion it wasn't enough. Nakagawa with the winner, Ishida with a brace, and a very good win in the first leg. A 4-0 win followed in a league against Shonan, Mochizuki, Lara, the target man, and Suzuki, who got his first for the club with a great free kick. Then we went to the leaders, and they were bloody brilliant. We are going to struggle to top them this year. They've got a 5-point lead for a reason, and as long as they don't bottle it, they'll be there for a long time. But there was a big positive out of that game as well. Koki Ogawa, who is the best poacher on paper at the club, came back and got a goal off the bench, and that was his first of 2 goals in all competitions, so really pleasing to see him scoring goals. We need him fit and we need him firing. We just edged past Hiroshima with a 2-1 win, who we've now drawn in a League Cup last 16. We've talked about wanting to win a trophy. Maybe that can be the one. Both strikers contributing a goal there. A 2-1 win in a second leg against Ryukyu, Ogawa and Ishida with the goals there. And again, Yota Komi scored against us. And then last weekend against Kashiwa, unfortunately a 2-1 defeat. But again, a little bit of a positive in that one, because Kazuki Fakai, the first choice centre midfielder who just got injured on the eve of the season, he was back and he scored in that one after playing in a League Cup tie. So we're starting to get some of the key players back. We're starting to get to our full strength squad. And if we can keep that for a month or two, then maybe we can shock the odds and get into that top half. But for now, we've got a pretty horrible run of fixtures coming. And I mentioned it, we had a fairly friendly start, probably up to the Shonan game. Since then, we've played away at the leaders. Kashiwa away was tough. Now we've got Urawa, who are 12th but were one of the favourites. Then Kashima away from home up in 3rd. Osaka a slightly easier one. And then the big one against the other Yokohama, who are currently in 2nd place. So there is going to be a lot of tough weeks coming up. I was tempted to get all the way through to that big game in the Yokohama derby. But for now, I've got to show the job we could have been in. I've got to show the job that the Yokohama manager thought was a step up, because that's the only reason we're here. So this is the game we're going to focus on today. Of course, we have had a lot of stuff off the pitch to focus on, but this is just as big as any of it. Everything at the club is looking pretty decent. Our dynamics are good, despite the fact we've not got the reputation for managerial support. And we've got most of the other stuff under control, but there are 1 or 2 little tiny doubts in the squad. So let's just go and see how we get on. We've got a run in the cup, we've got a big start in the league, but we cannot afford to go on a run of defeats. And if we can pick up points, even draws, against some of these other sides expected to be up there, it really will be helpful to our season. But as we've seen in our last 2 away games, that's often easier said than done. So let's get through to the Urawa match. They've got a key player in their team. We mentioned it briefly in the last episode. Here's a reminder of the Yokohama manager who left. He is the man that freed this job up for us and beat us to that one, in fairness. But the main man that they've got in their team is Jamie Bino Gittins, formerly of Dortmund, formerly of City. He is now here and he will tear our defence to shreds because he's on 30 grand a week. He's better than any of our players. And more importantly, his strength is physicality and dribbling. And we just can't handle that at all. So this is going to be an interesting day. I'm waiting to see how it pans out. The only way to find out is to get through to the match. They're playing 4-4-2. They're going to be aggressive. So let's go and get our team picked, see who's fit. We'll be back in a minute to run through the team. First time, we've got a sellout as well. Well, here we go then. And in fairness, I would still say we don't quite know our best 11. We've got that decision to make in the number 10 role. Vitolucci and Ishida both had some good games, both inconsistent. Fakai continues his comeback with his first league start of the season. And at the back, we have opted for Fitzwater over the free agent who had been playing well. We've also got Suzuki in at left wing back. We've got big decisions up front. Mochizuki started well, but now we've got Ogawa coming back. Which one do we prioritise? We'll have a decision to make there in a week or two. But this overall is the team we've gone for. It is Broderson back in goal after injury with a back three of Ueno, Fitzwater and Moraes. The wing backs are Bushari and the new man Suzuki. Lara and Fakai the midfield too. Hopefully they'll stay fit together for a while. And then Vitolucci is the man I've gone for in the number 10 role behind Mochizuki and Sakuragawa up front. 12 goals for him, a stunning start, still improving at 24. In fairness, the first signing our director of football identified when I said we were playing with a target man, and what a signing he's been, an absolute gem. What we have done is stuck with the slightly more direct passing. We're not playing shorter out from the back at the moment, and it has eradicated the mistakes at the back, the mistakes on the ball, and helped us get a few clean sheets. But against the big boys, we've still struggled a bit, particularly away from home. This one, we've got a sold out home crowd supporting us though, so let's see if we can do any better. Well, the former manager here makes his first trip to the away dugout and he's made 4 changes for the game as well. Bino Gittins is one of those to come into the team and we know they've got plenty of quality. What I'm waiting to see is whether we're able to be aggressive, front-footed and on the attack throughout. Can we use the target man to our advantage or will we be pegged back? We've not had back-to-back defeats this season in the league. That is the one positive I'm going to take. We've been inconsistent at times. We've normally bounced back from a defeat. In this one, though, if we go behind, it could be a bit of trouble, as our target man is there at left back making a tackle for us, which seems a bit desperate this early on. But I know Gittins goes back to Biro, into Gittins again, and that's off the woodwork. It was offside, but they've carved us open early, and we saw that danger man on the left-hand side, as we're back with Vitalucci in the number 10 role, playing up to the target man, and the ball back to the fence is poor, challenges him, but Suzuki wins it again, finds Lara, and up to Mochizuki. Suzuki again cutting in from the left, playing very narrow there on his right foot, and that is a wonderful goal. Shinki Mochizuki is doing brilliantly. He's only a kid, he's come in with a big price tag, big expectation, and the man competing for his shirt out injured. With the first shot on target we've had all day, I mean, we don't deserve to be ahead, do we? Their expected goals is nearly 1. And at the moment, we're FMing them. It's up to Vitalucci on a yellow card. I'm wary. He might not make it past half time if he stays on till then. Centre half's committed. That's pretty poor. Fitzwater caught out. There is a language barrier at the back because neither of the new centre halves can speak Japanese. So we'll keep an eye on that. But for now, we're going up to second place and above our city rivals. Quarter of the game gone. It is the only shot we've had. We've been second best, but we're leading. We've got a corner which has been punched away there. Bino Gittins beaten to it by Vitalucci. He's running away from him too. That's magnificent. Shots at the goalkeeper, but he turned defence into attack. That is brilliant work from him. And I'll happily take that all day long. Tabori has got the ball again, and he'll roll out to his centre half. You can see this is now a battle of direct v short football. We've nicked it off the defence, and Mochizuki again forces a good save from Tabori. Great work from the target man, who is as good defensively as he is going forward. And Mochizuki is starting to look a real threat. Suzuki puts the corner in. The target man's up. It's headed away for another one. The pressure is building. Well, we're back at the other end almost immediately, and it's that star man with a free kick. An Englishman on each side in the J1 League, and that one absolutely thrashes the woodwork. Goalkeeper beaten, didn't move an inch, but he gets away with it as it falls for Tatsuta, and he doesn't get away with that one. Took a little nick on the way. It wasn't in the corner, I've got to be honest with you, but the goalkeeper is not able to save it. Almost went under him. Mochizuki's been blamed for that goal. I'm going to have to look at this back. Hang on a minute. Mochizuki's there. It's out to the edge of the box. What on earth can he do? What on earth can he do about that? The goalkeeper got a hand to it. On second glance, he probably should have done a bit better. What on earth is Shunki Mochizuki supposed to do with that? He got out and closed down and it was passed on. There was nothing about it. As Lara wins the ball back on halfway. He's given it away with his first pass though. And it's Morishita picking it up in the middle. Tatsuta gets it at centre half to Matsuda. Down the line to the centre forward who's drifted wide. They're turning the screw here and they're being a better side as we approach half time. Morishita in. It's a brilliant run. And the goalkeeper's beating it his near post. It's a close angle. He's probably going to struggle to save it. But that is magnificent football. We're beaten by individual magic. We knew they had the squad. We have to say they deserve it. We smash and grabbed one early on. And overall, they have been the dominant side. They're coming forward again. And this is why I wanted to show you this game. This is what could have been. We could have had this side. But here we are. We can see why the manager left as Broderson punches poorly, it must be said. Ito in, across to Yada. I need the VAR to save us here because this is falling apart. You can definitely see why the Yokohama manager thought this club was a step up. They've had a slow start, but they look brilliant now. They've won a couple of games, they're 3-1 up, and they have dominated this match. The more direct style is not working for us, but we'll give the lads a kick up the backside. Remind them that it's their former manager they can get one over on. And we might have to make some changes soon because there's a few very poor performers. In fact, I'm not going to leave it any longer. Gifu are picking up a point as it stands. So for now, 14 games in, we could only be 3 points ahead of Gifu, which is not bad given our league position, but it does sound bad on paper. Vitalucci will be replaced by Ishida. We're going to take off Bushari at right wing back for Yaneda. And I'm also going to take off Bakai, who's building his fitness still, and he'll be replaced by Sada, mainly because Morishima looks anxious. We'll give it a few more minutes before we make any other subs because I want to give the lads a chance to get back into this. We've brought on some clever players, but ultimately, this is the side who are third favourites to win the league. They underperformed last season. They were the champions just over a year ago. And they've now got a penalty, I think. Oh, referee, do us a favour. Checking the penalty review with VAR. I've never seen one of these overturned. Penalty awarded. Moraes commits the foul. And I think in a minute, we're going to be bringing on two youngsters just to see out the game. Because Moentana steps up. What a save, Broderson. It's going in the top corner. He guessed right. It's brilliant goalkeeping. And it's out for another corner. Can we defend this one without giving away a penalty? Ishida heads away and Mochizuki will get there. He's now down to a 6.9 despite his goal. But he's breaking away here. Look who's there though. Bino Gittins just too quick. Unfortunately, we can't cope with it. The expected goals is frightening. The dominance is frightening. I mean, I know Imabari were a better side than us, but that was us having an off day. We've not been that awful here. We're just getting outclassed. There's Morishita on the right. Finds his centre forward, who missed the penalty, but has still played well. And again, we nick it in midfield with Sada to Mochizuki. Up to the target man, who's had no real service today. But he does get it wide this time to Yaneda. He likes to get forward. Can he find the cross? Oh, he's tried to nutmeg Bino Gittins. That's not worked well. You've got to have the legs to run round him as well, mate. Ishida on the edge, though. That's a bit of quality. What a finish from Ishida. I keep seeing that this year. We go and get a goal back and we're one behind. And they do that thing as if they're going to go into the goal, collect the ball and run back to halfway. Lovely that they've added the animation. If they don't remember to take the ball, it's pretty useless. Let's get a couple more subs on. Lara will be replaced by Morishima. Those two will swap round. And then Shiba will come on for Moraes, who's had a stinker. He's losing his discipline. And there's no point harming it any further. 20 minutes remaining. We're going to encourage because despite being outplayed, we're only one goal behind. Yes, our goals have been fortunate. Yes, we've created nothing else. But at the moment, we've still got a chance to win it. So let's go positive. Let's go a bit more direct for set pieces. And let's see if it works out. Nothing doing by the looks of it. And look what else has happened. FC Gifu have won, I think. And that will put them 1 point behind us. Our former club are turning into the story of the season. And you know what? Look, they're one of the best teams in the league. I'm not gutted by the result. I'm a bit upset about the performance and the gap between us. And you can see it's going to be a photo finish between about 10 teams. But FC Gifu are going to be flying. And it's going to be a very interesting spell. Let's see what the table looks like now. So I think that game is yet to finish. We'll see if they hold on to their lead. And we'll plan when we're next going to be back. Because this is going to be a very tense season by the looks of it. Well, unfortunately, it was short-lived joy for our former club. Because in the end, they conceded 3 second-half goals to trail by 3 goals to 1. And they lose and stay in the bottom half. However, they are now 13th. But with 4 points separating them and us, we are in 5th in a playoff place. I'm not actually sure what the top of the division does, so should we have a quick look? If we go to the rules for the J1 League, what happens to the teams beyond first? That's not particularly helpful, I've got to be honest with you. If anyone knows what happens if you finish in those blue slots, let me know. I will look it up off camera afterwards, but a bit odd that we're not seeing that for now. Does anyone beyond the top team get a chance to play continental football, or is it just the top team and the cup winners? Let me know that down in the comments below. But for now, what a tight division we've got. And this is the problem now. Yes, we're going to be safe from relegation. We'll be a mid-table at worst, which ultimately is our objective. But it's got a good chance of being mid-table. It's also got a glimmer of hope of being a playoff season. 4 teams separating half the leagues. I have no idea what happens next. So let's go and have a look at the schedule for when we're going to be back. We've got the games pretty well spread out after now because the other Yokohama game is near the end of the year. The Gifu game falls pretty nicely for the transfer window and the episode before. So we've just got to find one in the middle. Maybe we'll come back for the second leg of the cup tie because that's something I want to push for. We'll have 2 cup ties in a row there. If not, maybe a league game that's quite big slightly before. But let me know down in the comments where you think we're going to be this year. It is such a tightly packed league. It is so competitive. And by the runaway leaders at the top, this could be a very tough season. We're ultimately going to meet our objectives, but it's whether we can do anything to exceed them. If you want to find out and you did enjoy this one against the club we could have been managing today, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you thought of the end of the transfer window. Certainly an interesting one and a very tense one as it unfolded. I thought we were going to be a centre-half short with 2 hours to go, and I was not a happy bunny till those late signings came in. But for now, we can focus on the future. Do I just go all out for the cups now I know we're going to be mid-table? Maybe that's the better approach, I don't know. It will probably depend, in truth, on what happens for those teams between 2nd and 5th. I'm going to look that up after this episode. If you want to stay up to date and find out how the season goes though, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back with Southend United tomorrow before this returns in 2 days' time. And wish me luck, because at the moment, as this episode's released, I'm at Old Trafford watching Luton Town. Fingers crossed that will go well. Fingers crossed the rest of this season will too. If you want to be entertained in the meantime, the Twitch channel, the football podcast, and all the other key playlists are up in the eye above. There's plenty more down in the description below, all the social medias and that stuff too. But thank you very much for watching, for joining me for another big game. It seems like all of them have got something big riding on them here. And with the middle of the league table as tightly fought as it is at the minute, it looks like that's set to continue. I'll see you next time to see where we are.